Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We are one day further towards genuine catastrophe, as a huge swath of the country has been hit by winter storms and record low temperatures below zero across more than a dozen states. Now, millions of Americans are experiencing power outages, but in Texas, there is a near total breakdown. Most of Texas is on its own energy grid, run by the organization called the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT. And it is disconnected from the two main power grids in the rest of the country, the eastern and western interconnects. And it is the most deregulated energy market in the country. All sorts of interesting idiosyncrasies to how it operates. Its power infrastructure is simply not designed to withstand days of freezing temperatures, which are expected to continue until the weekend. ERCOT officials said today they expect the blackouts in Texas to last at least until tomorrow. The crisis is the product of both extreme weather, a kind of black swan event, and also real governing failure. And the person at the head of the Texas government took the time to go on Fox News last night to push the big lie that Republicans and right-wing media have been pushing for days. A brazen, jaw-dropping lie that the hippie libs and their clean energy are to blame for the devastation in Texas.
The Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America. Texas is blessed with multiple sources of energy, such as natural gas and oil and nuclear, as well as solar and wind. But you saw from what Trace said, and that is our wind and our solar got shut down, and they were collectively more than 10% of our power grid. And that thrust Texas into a situation where it was lacking power in a statewide basis. If the Biden administration is going to try to eradicate fossil fuels in the United States, every state is going to constantly have challenges like what America has seen take place in Texas right now.
That's not true, just to be clear, the idea that wind and solar completely went out and thrust the state into that situation. In fact, the governor was spinning a different tale when he spoke to a local news outlet just before he went on Fox News, not mentioning wind or solar or green energy at all, instead placing the blame on natural gas.
The companies that generate the power, their operations have frozen up or have tripwired and are non-operational. That is the lead reason why there is a shortage of power for the people who are lacking power right now. There is an additional reason causing a lack of natural gas arriving to power generation centers across the state, and that's because the ability to both manufacture and to ship and transport natural gas has been frozen also. It's frozen in the pipeline. It's frozen at the rig. It's frozen in the transmission line.
Natural gas is frozen everywhere. That's a big part of the problem, the catastrophe. That's what he's telling Texans. And he goes on national Fox News to say that it's the Green New Deal. This is the crazy blame game the governor of Texas is playing while his constituents are freezing in their homes without power or heat, some for the third straight day.
How much power have you had in the last 3 days?
Okay, so that's probably like total of maybe 4 hours.
4 hours in 3 days?
4 hours in 3 days.
We're huddled under all the blankets that we have. It's 45 in our house.
Steve Rivera and his wife seeking shelter with the only neighbor they knew that had a fireplace.
She hasn't been able to eat regularly and take her medications.
For 11 members of the Adela family, the only way to stay warm is inside a church van parked in their driveway.
How many kids are there? How are you guys doing?
Inside, 7 kids, ages 3 months to 11 years old.
Well, it started, see, I have 3 cats and a dog, some kids. We lost power, put the kids in a different location with family members, and then we've just been sleeping in the closet with my pets. Can't find gas anywhere. I don't even know what city I'm in right now, to be honest.
Hell. Yeah, hell. Sure hell. Yeah. And then that's why I say somebody should be held accountable.
But to the purveyors of the big lie, Republicans like Greg Abbott and his friends on Fox News, this very real and acute suffering is just a vehicle for their political objections. They are trying to convince Americans that the state of J.R. Ewing and the Houston Oilers, the capital of American fossil fuel extraction, was actually covertly turned into a lefty bastion of green energy while no one was looking, and that's the source of the problem.
So, unbeknownst to most people, the Green New Deal came to Texas. The power grid in the state became totally reliant on windmills. Then it got cold and the windmills broke, because that's what happens in the Green New Deal. You're without power. Millions are still without power tonight.
Yes, while you weren't looking, you hear that quote? Unbeknownst to most people, Texas became some sort of hippie commune, totally reliant on windmills and rainbows and flower power. Totally reliant. He actually said that about Texas. Was it unbeknownst to the Republican leadership of the state, who have occupied nearly every statewide office in Texas for decades? A Democrat has not won statewide in decades? Did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 10 years ago at the tender age of 21 parachute into the state of Texas to put up windmills under cover of night? Or she and Al Gore driving through the Permian Basin, secretly unplugging all the rigs? How stupid does Tucker think his audience is exactly? It's just a lie. It's not a dishonest mischaracterization or spin or omission. It's just a straight out ridiculous lie. Now, Texas does have a lot of wind power. It's true. But wind power makes up only a fraction of Texas's energy in the winter. Governor Abbott said himself, wind and solar only make up 10% of the grid. There are real material consequences here, as so many people go into a third freezing night. The immediate priority must be figuring out a way to get power and heat to people who desperately need it, as well as clean water, amidst a severe weather event and infrastructure that is simply overwhelmed by it right now.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.